Good evening and welcome to Squirm Night, a 2018 election forum brought to you by Grassroots TV, Aspen Public Radio, Aspen Daily News, and the Aspen Times. I'm Wyatt Orme, a reporter for Aspen Public Radio. I'm here with Jeanne McQueeney and Jacqueline Cartier, the two candidates for the Eagle County Commissioner District 3 seat. Before we begin, Jeanne McQueeney is the incumbent. She's a Democrat running for her second term. Jackie Cartier is a Republican and a first-time candidate. Before we begin, I want to thank our sponsor, the Thrift Shop of Aspen, whose support makes tonight's programming possible. Jeanne and Jackie, let's get right to it. Part of your job as Eagle County Commissioner will be to represent the Roaring Fork Valley. I want to start by asking, how different is the Roaring Fork Valley from the rest of Eagle County? Jeanne, let's start with you.
Actually, I think they're more similar than they are different in that their roots are similar in terms of the agriculture and ranching, the influence then of the ski resort community. So very similar in that way. There are differences in terms of who the major employer is, but the similarity is that it is one major employer that is reliant on the resort industry. So the demographics in terms of age and population are very similar, split between both the valleys. So the priorities are very similar. When we talk to residents in the Roaring Fork Valley or the Eagle River Valley, the priorities of our environment resonate with both. That's a major value priority. Affordable housing continues to be an issue. I have sat on child care coalitions for both valleys for an awfully long time. That has been an issue for a long time. So in terms of differences, we're more similar than we are different.
Jackie, what do you think?
To the points that Jeanne was making, there are similarities, but there are unique personality differences, and that really extends into priorities. So that when you've got the Roaring Fork, in the Eagle Valley side, you've got a lot of ranchers, you've got a lot of people that have been there for generations. But a lot of the communities are fairly new, relatively new, compared to this side. This side, what we're looking at is, you know, you've got Aspen that was around for a very long time as a mining community. You had Basalt. I mean, all of our communities have been around for generations. And as a result, when you're looking at decisions that are being made, I think we naturally tend on this side to think more long-term. And it's not that we are not impacted by short-term, but I think for us, we tend to think of the longer-term consequences before the shorter-term benefit.
Does that resonate at all with you, Jeanne?
Actually, I'd have to go back and check my history, but I think Red Cliff has been around for an awfully long time, which was the original seat for the county, and started again as a mining community. So when we talk about the similarities, they did start in very like ways.
Okay, let's move on though. Jeanne, you don't live here, but obviously your constituents do. How do you make sure that you are sort of checking in with them?
We have a lot of opportunities for collaboration between both sides of the county, if we talk about it in terms of two valleys. Between the commissioners, and it's an interesting thing, it is District 3, so you have to live in the district. So this is District 3.
Here I mean the Roaring Fork Valley, of course.
But which is District 3, includes the Roaring Fork Valley. But once you're elected to county commission, you represent the entire county. So so for me, I sit on a number of commissions and boards on this end of the county. I'm here on the Rafter board every month. I'm on the Basalt Child Care Coalition, the Cradle to Career Initiative. I work extensively with Valley Settlement. There are a lot of opportunities to be here. Kathy is over here on a regular basis talking about water and the different boards that she's on. So there are a lot of opportunities. We have every bi-monthly meeting of mayors and managers that Ryan comes over for. We have joint meetings, as Patty Clapper was talking about. We meet with the Pitkin County Commissioners, with the Basalt Town Council. So a lot of opportunities. We had a series of community events. We talking about topics that were of interest. One was affordable housing, one was child care, one was climate action. We had the same evening presented in both locations, one over here and one over there. And so we are always cognizant of the fact that we want to make sure it's convenient for the residents here to reach us and to share their ideas with us.
Great. Jackie, you live in Basalt. Do you think that that necessarily makes you more able to represent the Roaring Fork Valley at the county seat?
Well, I think it's more than living here. I raised my son here. He graduated from Aspen High School. And the thing is, when you're here, Jeanne was referring to many opportunities to be here. And there certainly are many opportunities to be here. Most people do not see Jeanne here, they see Kathy here. And they're grateful to have Kathy here. I think it's important to understand that when you've got decisions that are unique to a particular community, that you engage that community, and the best way to engage them is to actually sit face to face with them. And that's hard to do if you're not here. So I know that there are numerous opportunities, there are lots of meetings, there are lots of things that people can do, but Kathy seems to be the one that is up here doing it, and we so appreciate that she is. I know, Jeanne's got a lot of other things that she's involved with on the other side, I presume. But as she mentioned, you've got District 3. It extends quite a ways. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy commute. I'm doing all of my campaigning over there, and my car gets 14 miles to the gallon. It is my money pit. So, I mean, I understand that distance, and it's not always easy to do. But if you're in District 3, you really need to make that additional commitment. And it's much easier if you're here. And then I'm also, the Roaring Fork School District is a client of mine, as well as the Eagle County Sheriff's Office. But the Roaring Fork School District, I've been working with Bridges High School for, God, practically since they started. And it's a wonderful community. And when you're on this side, you also understand that the Roaring Fork, every individual town has their own personality, right? But the entire valley considers itself in many ways like one. You don't sit there and go, oh, we just passed Pitkin, we just entered Eagle, we just entered Garfield. Doesn't happen, right? You're taking your kids up and down the valley everywhere. And the kids are doing a variety of things together. And they're all skiing in Aspen or down in Sunlight. And so it is, in a way, a large community with individual personalities and towns within it. And I think that being here and experiencing that, and I moved here in '97, and it's just an integral part of who I am, and yet I've been able to spend time in the Eagle Valley too when my son graduated in 2008.
Jeanne, do you want to respond to anything that Jackie just mentioned?
Yeah, I would take exception to characterizing Kathy as being here more often, because what we do as 3 commissioners is divvy up the work. And it doesn't matter who's in which seat. Kathy has extensive background in water, so she's over here for the Rudai Reservoir and for the issues around the rivers and the clean water. I am here for public health, human services, child care coalitions. Those are the ones. So I would think if those people were asked, I'm here more often for them. I'm also here for RAFTA every month. And if you talk to other people, Jill sits on transportation commissions for us. She's down in Denver a lot because that's where you have to testify around issues of healthcare and transportation, which is what Jill focuses on. There are too many departments and too many areas of focus for all 3 of us to do all of them. I think we're fortunate in that I trust Kathy when she's here to carry the message, and Jill, and they trust me that when I'm here I carry the message for the commission.
Great. So let's move on. Jeanne, this question's to you. Some people here in the Roaring Fork Valley feel that the current Eagle County Commissioners are out of touch with what people in the Roaring Fork Valley want. There's even a group in Basalt that wants to secede from Eagle County and join Pitkin County. They say that part of it has to do with they don't want to travel as far for jury duty, but the criticism in large part is that Eagle County approves development projects that the community does not want. How would you respond to this?
I would respond that and I'll respond for the 3 commissioners, we absolutely love representing the Roaring Fork Valley. We feel as if it is part of our county. You make that turn out of Glenwood and you see Mount Cypress, you can't help but have a good day. It's just a great place to come to. We have no trouble representing. It's not that far a drive. It takes longer to get to Red Cliff, truly. So we're happy to do it. We want to be responsive to the community. What we would like to talk to them about is what exactly, we can't change where jury duty is. That's beyond our control. But we have heard that it's not convenient to recycle at the landfill if you want to drop off your tires or a large TV or something. So there's ways that we could work with Pitkin County to make that more accessible. We have deployed the Mirabus, the Mobile Intercultural Resource Alliance, to make our services more convenient to the communities, and that comes to the Basalt and Elgibel area on a regular basis now that we have it up and running. We have the public health and the human services and the clerk and recorder and the sheriff have satellite offices here. We would be happy to work with any service that people think we need to provide more of.
Okay, but as I said in the last question, that a lot of the beef, for lack of a better term, has to do with land use decisions, and I want to ask you about one of those in particular. In 2017, you voted to approve the tree farm development, which is across Highway 82 from Whole Foods. The plan is to create 340 residences and over 100,000 square feet of commercial space. You were at these meetings. I was at these meetings. This was fiercely, at times viciously debated. The town of Basalt and Pitkin County asked the commissioners to deny the proposal. You voted to approve it. Why?
And I just want to correct your figures because some of it's misinformation as well, because the commercial that does not include lodging is only 7,400. And that, when you say it's over 100,000, you have to know that what we negotiated with them was their request for a hotel. If that hotel does not happen, it becomes housing, not additional commercial, which was one of the areas of discontent for the community that came out. And I think what I would respond is that I hope that the people who came to the meetings saw that we were listening to the people who came, that we were applying the standards that were available to us. We were using the master plan and the future land use map as it was designed to interpret the proposal in front of us. And that when we heard from the community and they said, well, we would want more of this or less of this, that we integrated that into the plan as best we could. So it's interesting that people say you didn't listen to us. If we didn't follow everything, but it does feel a little bit like the plan changed based on the feedback. That means we were listening to you. And it's difficult when the room is saying half of this thing and half of the other thing. So we can't actually listen to everyone in the room because they were saying opposite things. But I would hope people that were there watching saw that we were respectful and gave time to everyone that wanted to speak, and that we did our best to integrate that while upholding the standards that we had available to us. Okay.
Jackie, your thoughts on the tree farm approval?
Yeah, in terms of how it came down, the commissioner who spent the most time here voted with the people in the Roaring Fork Valley, and that was Kathy. This project is amazing, and both sides agreed that it was amazing. It started
both sides, really? I distinctly remember people being less than thrilled about the project.
Well, they were less than thrilled about the results of what would happen if the project went forward, but the project itself people liked. Okay. In a similar way to some of the controversy that went on with Willits and what have you, and then ultimately people kind of liked it, right? So, but when you're looking at something that is this controversial, to me it's important getting the two main people together so that when you're looking at, you know, the tree farm and that entity, and then you're looking at the for lack of to make it shorter, for the Basalt group, okay, both of them said, we wish that we would have had an opportunity to talk about it. You know, we think that this could have been settled so much easier if we'd have been able to just sit down. If they would have just talked to me, right? And of course, both of them have phones. But the point is that I think they were hoping that somebody would kind of step in and say, oh, okay, let's take it down a notch. I understand how this has changed over the past 10 years. The economy has changed. You know, the tree farm, that is not a charity. You know, he's entitled to make money, and construction costs have gone up considerably. So for him to tweak the numbers and say, you know, for this to make sense for me and to be able to keep everything that everybody seemed to like about it, I need to do some conversion. I need to maybe make a little more money here, a little more money there. And I think both sides understood that. They did not like the way it came down. And then there was also, which is a continual issue, is the traffic. So that this is the entryway to Aspen. So it's not just Eagle County. You're not making a decision just for Eagle County. There is Basalt. There is all of 82. There is going into Aspen and Pitkin County. So this is affecting a lot of people, and to just go against the recommendations that have come forth, if somebody comes forth and says, unanimously, we don't think this should happen, there should at least be a red flag to say, wait a minute, maybe I don't have all the information. Maybe we do need to take a step back. Maybe we need to sit down with the principals and kind of hash this out and give it just a little bit more time, because what ends up happening is he's entitled to move forward with his project. But I think, you know, now we've got bad blood, and there doesn't need to be. Your neighbors both wanted something good. They had different approaches for doing it. And I really think that had they had the opportunity to step back a little bit and discuss it more, I think both sides would have given in a little bit. And they're going to have to work together as this is developing. And to have this still be a contentious issue is not helpful to that. And so when you have a base that is, you know, such a distance away and not directly involved with the people that have to live it. The people that are working in Eagle County offices are not sitting in traffic here. They're not having to deal with the day-to-day issues. And to me, that's critical. When you're making a decision that impacts someone's life so importantly, it's important to sit down and get their perspective, because they're on the front line.
Yeah, and with the exception of the people who work at the Eagle County offices in the Roaring Fork Valley.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to ask was, so, I mean, this was a very complex and long process, and there were people who outright did not want this passed. As a candidate for county commissioner, what would you say to those voters? Are you saying that ultimately the process itself got messy, but that the product, the end product, is something that is desirable, that this housing development should in fact exist?
The end product is up to the decision of the people who live here. And so when you're looking at people who are against doing this entire project, a lot of them are concerned about the environmental impact. There are other impacts as well, you know, and like we discussed, there's traffic, and there are other things that people are concerned about. But when you evaluate that element of it, and there's a lot of people, you know, everybody has their special interest, right? Their special area that they're concerned about. You're also looking at the economic impact to the area. Do we need it? Okay, and there's a group that says, no, we absolutely do need it. Okay, so now you're sitting there, now how do we balance the economics with the environmental? And we do that all the time across Eagle County, right? I mean, we live in a gorgeous place. We don't want to mess it up. Yet we do live here, so there's certain things that are realities. We do have to have an income in order to provide services. So listening to everybody and making sure that everybody is part of the decision and that their opinion is valued is critical. And if just because you're in a position to do something doesn't always mean that you should do it. And so, you know, sometimes it takes stepping back. Sometimes it takes let's bring everybody to the table one more time. We're not going to drag this out. This is not going to be a multi-year thing. It's already gone on for, 10, 11 years. But one more meeting, one more get-together, one more, community, come on in. There's a real reason why he's changed this. What can we go with? What can't we go with? Because we're all going to live with it. Whether you were for it or against it, we're all going to live with it. And when you're on the other side, it's sometimes hard because you're not dealing with it every day. But the people that have to go from Down Valley to Aspen every day, they're going to be dealing with it. But then the people, if we're sitting here and we're going, all right, we need that income, we don't have that income, are we going to have to cut back on services? Yeah, that's an everyday thing too. So balancing that, and we always come up with the right answer. I mean, it may not be the answer that we might particularly want, but it always ends up turning out okay when we've involved everybody in the process.
Okay. Well, there's lots more to discuss on this. We're going to keep moving, though. Jackie, this morning I went on your website and I read the points under your platform. You talk about affordable housing, and you're very clear that there are lots of things that you want to look at as far as affordable housing goes, including a variety of housing types like tiny homes, maybe even dorms for seasonal workers. But at no point did you mention that the county should build more affordable housing. Why is that? Because
it seems that we're always chasing after affordable housing and we never can build enough. And the affordable housing that we build, because supply and demand and development costs, means that most affordable housing really isn't affordable for most of the people that live there. And that's sad, because when we think of affordable housing, we think that it's going to be affordable for the people who need it most, but the people who need it most generally don't. If you're making $18, $20 an hour, you can't necessarily afford to move into a $400,000 or $500,000 house, even though it's affordable to free market. Yeah, it's not $1.5 million.
In comparison to free market.
Right. And so, for us, affordable housing prices are free market prices on the Front Range. And so we have to evaluate that and say, yes, we got to continue to build and try and do something, but we also have to look long term. Because if we build something, all right, so there's enough maybe for 40 families, and there's hundreds of families still waiting. And, we need to start looking at this as a long-term situation and seeing if maybe we can come up with something different. And I mentioned some ideas there. I mentioned even like crowdsourcing ideas, which sounds, for some people, it sounds way out there. On the other hand, all we're saying is we're kind of stuck here. And we need some different perspectives. We need people who have maybe experienced something in some other part of the world. And sure, it can come up here and we'll say, okay, that just doesn't work here. But if we open it up and we get all of these ideas, all we need is one that really works. And I just think that while we're continuing to chase after affordable housing and to try and supply it, we also need to start thinking long term. And if that's occurring now, it's not visible.
Okay. I want to give Jeanne a chance to respond to that, but we'll come back.
Okay.
What was the question?
I asked Jackie about about some of her ideas for affordable housing. On her website, she makes no mention of just building more affordable housing. Maybe you could speak to successes that you feel you've had as a county commissioner as far as affordable housing is concerned.
So I'm trying to clarify what you mean by the county building affordable housing. So the county has not built affordable housing all by itself since Miller Ranch. That was a good long time ago. But what we do is partner with a private developer with some tools that we have in our toolbox so that they can get their project built. And we do require a certain amount of those homes be affordable. And then we do have a way of buying down additional deed restrictions and things like that so that we can allocate more of them as workforce housing. So we have a needs assessment at this point that tells us exactly where people would like to live. The needs assessment, the whole housing needs assessment for the Roaring Fork Valley from Aspen to Parachute was rolled out to the community last Friday. So when we take those two 2 different needs assessments for the 2 different valleys. We know exactly what people want. The developer knows exactly, you know, I don't want to build 4 rent properties here when everyone here wants to buy. I don't want to build tiny homes here because people want 3-bedroom homes. So that gives them some very good information. And then we have tools in our toolbox like some water tap fees and some, we have a little bit of land, but we don't have the ability as a county to outright build affordable housing.
Okay, so I learned that we just have 5 minutes left, so I want to get back to Jackie really quickly. Another thing that you say on your website is you advocate for approaching the housing issue from a different angle, and to paraphrase, I felt as if you were saying, let's basically improve the economy such that people don't need subsidized housing. And I just want to. I went on Zillow.com to look at some of the median house prices in the Roaring Fork Valley, and someone who wants to buy a home here would need hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to afford a down payment. So I guess I wanted you to elaborate on what kind of economy exactly you're envisioning here.
Well, what I'm looking at is I'm saying we've got 2 approaches to this. One that we're going after right now, which is to build more affordable housing, to find ways in which to do that becomes economical for more people. The other is to say, why do we need affordable housing? We need affordable housing because we're not making enough money, right, to build or to move into free market housing. So part of my big push for development for businesses is to help to increase the entrepreneurial base, which is really when you've got an infrastructure that is hospitality, that's traditionally a lower paying infrastructure. We can't change that really. I mean, we can improve here and there, but we really can't make major changes. So what can we bring in that may increase the income levels for young professionals here so that they can start affording a free market apartment, say. So you start with an apartment, you start saving and what have you. And so that's where I was saying if we can start, like I was looking at the entrepreneurial incubator and taking some of the ideas of our, a lot of the retirees and people that are very experienced and matching them up with young people who have ideas and no money and no experience and saying, let's see, let's see if we can start building an entrepreneurial base here so that maybe we can start developing this, a career option so that our young people don't move away. So now they can actually go into a career that might pay in an 80 to 120 a year range.
So time has flown by as we've done this.
We're having so much fun.
I want to give you guys the opportunity to ask each other a question. So if you do have a question, Jeanne, go ahead and ask Jackie something.
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, Jackie?
Oh, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're out of time. We're good.
Can we go to closing statements?
Sure.
Jeanne, let's start with you.
Sure, thank you. You know, I would just say that I'm running for re-election because I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish for the past 4 years, and we've laid the groundwork for some really great projects that are just on the horizon, and I just feel like I'd like to stay invested to see those things through implementation to the finish line. Things like our climate action plan, sustaining our open space, assuring that we can tackle workforce affordability, and that's for me is housing, childcare, and transportation. So, you know, we have some really big goals. We're working very collaboratively with every town and municipality, and I would like to continue on to see these things through. I would ask people for their vote and to maintain the momentum that we've had. So thank you very much.
Jackie?
Okay, so locally, having greater representation, I think, you know, this section of Eagle County represents about 20% of Eagle County, and they just aren't getting the representation they need. Maybe they are and they're just not feeling it. It needs to come together. That's number one. Number two, there are so many incredible projects that we can do, that we can move forward in. We've got young people that want to stay here. They want to move here. They want to have a life here. They want to have a career here. They want to raise families here. And we continue to run into it's not affordable. And we don't want people to feel that the only way they can live here is to be dependent upon the government to take care of them. These young people come in and they have, they have debt, they have issues and they're trying to build a life and trying to enter a career. And if we can give them that option here, we won't lose them to the Front Range. They will want to stay because there's something here to stay for. But right now, we're aging out. There's my generation, and then there's the young people that come in, and that middle group, we need to train them for leadership. My generation needs to go away. We're dying off, okay? We need these young people to come in, and we can't have them assume leadership positions if they don't live here, and if they can't earn a living here. So please, if you want something exciting and different and new and to really step out and make exciting things happen, vote for Jacqueline Cartier for Commissioner, and my website is cartierforcommissioner.com. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions for you.
Great. Thanks to you both. That was Jeanne McQueeney and Jackie Cartier, the candidates for the Eagle County Commissioner seat. Please remember that ballots are arriving this week and in-person early voting starts Monday. Election Day is November 6th. Replays of Squirm Night will be available on all of the Aspen Media's websites and also on Grassroots TV. Thanks so much.